My next guest clearly doesn't get paid by the hour because he's coming off another first round finish, this time in his second UFC fight. I was going to say debut, but almost feels like your debut, Garrett,
Felt like
because you
my
had a full
debut.
camp at UFC Singapore, August 26th. It's Garrett Armfield back here on the program. Garrett, how are you, man?
I'm feeling like I'm on cloud nine, man. Feeling great.
That
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
has it sunk in yet, man? You know, we did a couple interviews, and it was a long road to get this second UFC fight. It's here. You got the win. Tell me the feelings right now, man.
It does not feel real still. Still
Yeah.
doesn't feel real. I think like due to the fact that like not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I performed very well. And like the fact that I went out there and like barely got hit and like landed pretty much most of my strikes, and like just like kind of really won the approval of all the commentators and everybody, and like really like made a lasting impression. It still doesn't feel real. Like it's like, oh my god, I went out and I did like that's me on the TV. Like I did that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's well deserved, man. Before we talk about the performance itself, because there isn't that much to talk about, it was a quick fight. Going in, the travel, all that. I know we spoke a few days before you left. Did everything go a-okay? Were there any challenges? Like, take me through you getting to Singapore and actually getting to the fight.
The I had no jet lag. Actually, I think I got terrible jet lag right now. Like I'm waking up at like I literally woke up at 2 in the morning last night and like couldn't go back to sleep. So then I just stayed up and built a dresser, like something I had ordered. Um, so like coming back was way harder. Getting there was I was anticipating really bad jet lag and I did not have jet lag once. Um, so getting there was perfect. The biggest challenge was because I got there a couple days early before the UFC meals started and before we got to the fighter hotel. So trying to like eat correctly, like in downtown Singapore on the streets, not in the resort. Um, Obviously, like now, if like now that I know like the correct grocery store to go to, it was very difficult at first. We hopped in some guy's Uber and they call it Grab there. We grabbed a Grab and he brought us to this one neighborhood. And like a neighborhood there is like not like a traditional neighborhood here in North America. It's just like an apartment community with like probably like thousands of people, and then like they have a courtyard, and like that apartment complex is a neighborhood. And so I guess I went to one that was like like a poorer area,
Okay,
and
so yeah.
yeah. And so like I had no clue. We just like picked this random one. And my buddy Evan said he like went into the bathroom and there's like graffiti over the bathroom and it said like Indian gangsters live here, like be careful, all these things. And like we're like in this grocery store and like don't have everything that I needed still. And our taxi driver comes in and finds us in the grocery store. And he's like, I was like, I don't know why I even brought you guys here. Like, this is like not a good place to be. Sorry. So he didn't even charge us. He took us to a different area, to this area called Little India, which is India but little, I guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
brought us to this one place called the Mufasta Center, where it looked like an Amazon return store. Like everything was like it was probably like 8 stories tall, and nothing was in a box, and nothing was matching. It was all different assorted um, like say it was like microwaves, and there'd be like 30 different microwaves, all differently assorted. And I'm like, I was like, I kind of started to get stressed. I was like, none of this is like helpful, and there's no restaurant because Little India is vegetarian because it's Indian food.
Right.
And I was like, and so there's no protein. I was like, what are we gonna do? And eventually we ended up like finding some strange chicken spot where they use every single part of the chicken. And I was like, I'm just gonna weigh this and get through it. And I ended up retaining a ton of water weight. So on Tuesday, 3 days before weigh-ins, I was 156, which is the heaviest I've ever been. And I was kind of panicking. I was like, am I gonna miss weight? Like that sucks. And eventually I made weight and it all came off really easy. But yeah, the whole like going in blind and not knowing where to get food at the correct area was super challenging. Other than that, it was easy for me to get adjusted to Singapore time. I'm having a harder time getting adjusted back to this time, but it was an amazing experience. Singapore is an awesome city. It's so technology advanced. It's beautiful. and the people there are extremely nice. Like I kind of wish the people in the United States were as friendly. Because every single time you walk past somebody in the morning, they would tell you good morning, which
Oh, cool. Yeah,
was
that's
cool.
nice, isn't it? Yeah, you don't really get that here. Everyone's on their phone, right? So,
Yeah.
it's usually people are keeping to themselves. Yeah, that's nuts that you had to deal with all that. Like, I guess did the UFC not give you guys like any like I figure when you go to a new country or something and it's fight week, the UFC's like, "Hey, here's the closest grocery store." I guess they don't do that?
I don't know. Like I said, like our hotel on the resort, that's where everything is more streamlined and easier.
Mhm.
And there was a grocery store that was Western, but wherever I was at, I was just like misinformed, and I was completely naive and thought it was gonna be way easier than that. But I
Yeah.
learned the hard way. Now I know to like really do my research before I go, so I got everything planned out.
Well, at least it wasn't as bad as you heard Trey Ogden's story about him cutting weight. I think it was 2 fights ago, when he had that issue with the sauna. Did he ever tell you that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, where
Yeah.
he had to like
You had to go to like the Airbnb didn't have a proper hot tub, and then the bath wasn't working, and then he went to a Gold's Gym, but it wasn't the sauna wasn't working or
the
something. I
sauna wasn't
forget.
working, and so then he eventually found like a Lifetime Fitness and got the job done. That's
Yeah,
the horror
exactly.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, that
Uh,
was brutal. So,
with the UFC, this time they didn't have any tent saunas like the ones you sit
oh,
in.
okay,
They had
yeah.
the sleeping bags, which I've never used before. And I laid in one for about an hour, and like I just lost 1 pound, and I was like that was like miserable too. So it was very difficult. The sleeping bag sauna didn't work for me. We actually ended up the relation lead. Her name's Bella. I know Bella. Uh, she's awesome. I was like, I need a bathtub, and she's like, all right, cool, let me get you one then. And so I was able to grab one, and the weight came right off. So that was really awesome. Thanks to them for helping that out. It's so like very like uh, it's still so awesome and interesting to me how well planned the UFC weigh-ins go, like cutting weight, how they kind of like have everything controlled, and that's probably like one of my favorite things about it is like how professional everything is at that point.
Good. Well, that's great. Well, let's talk about the fight itself. Again, wasn't very long. You wanted to go in there and make a statement. We talked beforehand. You wanted to get that finish. You got it. Did the fight pretty much play out how you thought it would? Like take me through like what you anticipated going in and how it actually played out.
Yeah, it felt like he was able to take more punishment than I thought he was going to. Because I kind of saw in a couple of his previous fights that he got wobbled a little bit. And so I was throwing some heat at him. And at first it like didn't really seem like it was affecting him until I like dropped him with one of my jabs. And from that point, that's when I felt him start to break whenever he was laying on the mat and holding onto my glove and like wouldn't let me get my hand out. And then he didn't want to stand up whenever I was like, come on, let's go. That's when I was like, this one's in the bag, this one's mine. I just got to make sure that I don't overexert myself and I don't try to chase the finish too hard, and I just let it come to me. But yeah, no, it was awesome because everything we drilled and game planned, everything worked perfectly. So
Yeah.
I was very happy with having Trey in my corner. I was very happy with how the fight went, and man, I can't wait to do it again.
Well, you talked about this as well, working with Trey and switching camps and having everything sort of new. Like, how much different did you feel in there, just having these new skills and new coaching and all that? Like, you look so comfortable in there, it seemed.
Yeah, because I feel like I wasn't trying to go crazy and just try to kill him. Now it was more controlled chaos, and like uh, everything was just more like we just had gone over the game plan so many times that it was like this game plan is going to 100% work. There's no way it's not. And as long as I just stayed calm and just kept to what we planned and what we drilled, and man, I passed with flying colors. It was perfect.
Certainly was. How did you celebrate after the win? You were one of the earlier fights. I'm sure you got to enjoy yourself a little bit.
Yeah, we went and we grabbed some Heinekens at a bar, and we gave Evan Elder his first beer.
He's
So
never had beer before?
he said he's like sipped beers and he's had mixed cocktails, but he's never just because he doesn't drink.
Right.
So it was his first time like sitting down and actually like having a full beer.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
big. Why? I guess just because you guys are buddies and he's like, hey, this is a time to celebrate. Like, what made him, what was the tipping point of him having a Heineken?
I think it was just he just never like he's I think I know that he's like gone out and had like has drinking before, like the very few times that he does. But
Mhm.
he told me that the other day because we were just like small talking, and I was telling him about like different differences like a beer between like an IPA and a stout and all those things. And he's like, dude, I didn't realize it was like that complex. He's like, I've never had a beer before, like never sat down and just had a beer. And I was like, well, when I win my fight, we're gonna go and you're gonna have a first beer. And so that's what led to that. And so it was a
Cool.
great time. It was a great experience.
Good, good. That's great. And I imagine, when did you get back? Did you get back Sunday, or I guess, like, with the long travel, like, when did you get back to Missouri?
I got back yesterday. It was kind of like a nightmare. Our plane got canceled in Singapore, and so then we had to hang out in the airport train for 12 hours waiting for our next
Oh
flight.
man, that sucks.
Yeah. Then we got on that, and then because of that, we missed our connecting flight. And then after we missed our connecting flight, we finally made it to Chicago after waiting like another couple more hours. And we get to the gate to go to Kansas City, and they gave away our tickets, like our seats, because they're like, "Oh yeah, these weren't checked in," because it was a whole mess. So then they had to take the two people there on standby and tell them they couldn't fly yet, and then they gave us the seats, and then we get to Kansas City, and they left our luggage in Chicago.
Damn.
It
Okay.
was yeah, it was kind of a nightmare. So, but
Did
and
you
it,
get did you get your luggage now? Do you have it all
I
back?
did get it, but it was like 42 hours of traveling.
Man, that's
It was a
nuts.
lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So other than getting back on your sleep schedule, what else do you have planned for the rest of the week?
I just moved into a new apartment, so I'm like kind of filling it up now and getting some stuff for it, and cleaning it up and getting like all of my clothes on hangers, which I kind of had not done because I was just like so worried about my fight. And then I went out and bought my first TV ever. Never bought a TV before, so I
Okay.
decided to treat myself, and that was like kind of my big purchase was go out and get a nice TV, and so that it feels cool. It's cool being able to like
Good.
start to like afford, I guess, like normal person things.
Right. How big's the TV?
55-inch.
Nice. That's a good size. You don't want it too big. You don't want it
Yeah.
obviously like too small either. So TVs are
Yeah.
coming down in price now too, I find. So
Yeah, they are. I was gonna get the 65-inch, then I went into the store and saw how big the 65-inch was, and I was like, no, like that, like that, because I'm gonna mount it on the wall, and I was like, that's gonna be bigger than the wall. Like, no.
good call. What about when you want to get back in there? I imagine you want to get one more in this year. What are you looking at fight
Yeah,
wise?
yeah. I want to get one. I want to get one more in there. I believe that I did a good job interacting with the crowd and being interesting, and had did okay on the mic, and so I really think that I could get the opportunity to get on the like at least a prelim on the prelims, the opening prelims on the McGregor card. That'd be cool, just because I feel like I performed very well, and it would line up with my time frame. So that is like my main goal. That's what I want to manifest is getting on that. Of course, a lot of things got to like go right, and there's a lot of other people that have um, a lot more seniority and a lot more like they've done more to be able to get that spot. So I completely understand if I don't get it. If not, if they have an Apex card in the end of November, beginning of December, that would be awesome. I heard they're going to China. I was very thankful to travel. I don't want to go to China. I don't want to do the. I don't want to go across the pond. Like just so again, not so quick. But if duty calls, if they call me and they say, "Hey, we want you to fight in China," I guess I got to say yes to that. But I want to get one more in before the end of the year. So ideally, that Chandler McGregor card would be a dream come true. If not, let's go Apex, whatever it may be.
Doesn't matter. And any opponents of mine, or you kind of just see what they give you?
Oh, at this point in my career, I got no pull, so it's whoever they give me.
All right, there we go. Hey Garrett, I'll let you get back to fixing that what was it, a drawer or whatever you were doing, the cabinet or whatever. You got your house stuff to do, so I'm not going to keep you too long.
Yeah.
If there's anyone you would like to thank before we get out of here, sponsors, social media, anything like that, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, this one I just want to say thank you to all the gyms I've been a part of. A lot of times like the older gyms I used to part of, they kind of get lost in it and they only really think about the gym you're training at now, which I love the gym I train at now. So Springfield Fight Club, I did most of my or a lot of my pro and all my amateur career there. I love you guys. You guys mean the world to me. Kill Cliff, you guys helped me prepare so much for those past 4 years and helped me become the fighter I am today. And wouldn't be here without you guys. And of course, with Trey, with Marathon MMA, and Miles, and all you guys, I'm excited to get the ball rolling with the team. And, it's going to be a good end of the year.